And I will keep you here a little bit longer, unless you need to go. There's something that can easily obscure the portals into presence, and that is what I call the pain body. The pain body is accumulated residues of emotional pain from the past. Your personal past, as a child, you suffer emotional pain, especially living on this mad planet. Emotional pain inflicted on you as a child, especially children, the pain of the child leaves residues of pain. Also the pain later on in relationships that you might suffer. Residues left, emotional residues of painful emotion, and they come together in the body as the pain body. Past pain that still is an energy field that humans carry inside. But part of it is actually goes back a long, long time. Part of it is human pain, collective human pain. And humans have created so much of that in their history on the planet. Enormous self-created pain. So every human, in addition to accumulating more pain in their personal lives, have their share of collective human pain, and that's always more than whatever you can collect in your personal life. And that is an energy field of stuck, non-flowing aliveness. The emotions live in the body, one can say, in your energy field. And I will offer to you the helpful perspective of looking upon this pain body almost as an emotional entity that lives in you. But you don't know it's there all the time. It's not always visible. So this emotional entity, it is a way of looking, but it comes quite close to the truth, is some of the time dormant when things are going relatively okay in my life. Ups and downs, yes, I'm uneasy, yes, I'm restless, yes, I haven't found myself yet, yes, I'm struggling, but I can live with it. Pain body is dormant. Then, pain body occasionally needs to become active to feed on something. The emotional entity of pain needs to feed on the further experience of pain. More pain. I want some more pain, it says. I need to... Not enough pain. One could call this the human addiction to pain. And that is the pain body. And if you observe yourself or start with others, it's always easier. You can see that when the pain body is dormant, it's fine. You might not even notice it, perhaps as a slight weight or turbulence in the background, but you may not notice it at all. Then suddenly it becomes active. When it becomes active, it means it's feeding time. It will then use any trigger in your surroundings and react to something. It will trigger usually something relatively minor. It could even be just a thought in your head, triggers far more pain than would be warranted by that situation, out of proportion very often to the situation, but the situation doesn't matter to the pain body. It'll use a trigger for the influx of pain. A thought is enough if you live alone in your head. One small negative thought about me and my life or my partner, and the pain body will flow. If it's ready to awaken, it will move into that thought, which then becomes empowered by emotion. And that emotion will lead to further thoughts, a whole stream of negative thoughts, starting from the one thought, and that stream is full of emotion, so it's empowered. The emotional stream is empowered by the pain body, but the thought stream is empowered by the emotion. And at that time, the emotion renews itself by feeding on your thinking. Every thought is energy, it feeds on that. It loves the negativity of every thought. How dreadful my life is, how dreadful he is, life is, generally my life situation, anger, depression, fear, fearful thoughts, one fearful thought after another. And the pain body loves it. And that means you are identified with that. Pain body has become you. It's feeding on your mind. And at that time, you don't want to let go of the negative stream of thinking. You love it. Not ultimately you, but you have identified with pain body. That's why you love the pain. It's an indulgence in the negativity of it. More of it, more, please. And it can become very destructive. It can destroy sometimes a pain body episode, which can last for a few hours, can last even for a whole day, in some cases 2 days. It can stick around for 3 days. It varies from person to person. But a few hours is quite normal. A few days is not uncommon. Longer periods are also possible in very heavy pain bodies. They can be active for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, even in some extreme cases 90% of the time, 100% of the time in deeply unhappy people who live almost exclusively through their pain body. And everything they see and judge is through the pain. Every relationship gets immediately sabotaged through the pain that they carry, so they bring it into the relationship. But most people have dormant pain bodies and active. They fluctuate. Once a week, once every 2 weeks, twice a week, the pain body will need to feed on more pain. And then it'll use your partner, because it's not enough to feed on your mind. It is looking to other people to feed on their reactions. Emotional pain, give me some pain. I need some more drama, please. And the right buttons are pushed, especially in your partner, and you get drama. And they love it. Couples are forced in the unconscious state to reenact periodically their particular version of the drama, and they're feeding their pain bodies. Please, I want you to feed my pain body. And so I'm going to provoke you and say something that will trigger pain in you. And it works every time. And so this is an unconscious movement, and many people become so identified with this that it can easily obscure presence. The portals, the gates shut of the portals. Clong, clong, clong. And then the pain body says, all that nonsense about pain body and all that talk was so much nonsense. This is real. This is real. And after the pain body has fed on other people, preferably your partner, but colleagues will do, other family members will do. Or if you're a hermit, it'll feed on your mind, and that'll be enough. So then it gradually becomes dormant again, and you feel a lot better. So does the pain body. The pain body feels a lot better when it feels a lot worse, because to the pain body, better means worse. And so pain body is an important aspect of the self, the mind-made self, because it is the old emotional accumulations that very often empower, amplify the structures of the mind-made self. So here you have the mind-made self that's already quite dysfunctional, but added to the dysfunction that's already there comes all the pain from the human past, human pain, and it becomes a me, a self that was already heavy even without that, and now gets so heavy that you can't carry that burden of self anymore. There's so much suffering in it, so much anger, so much fear, whatever the predominant energy field of pain body is, such heaviness, turbulence. How to live with that? But periodically you get taken over by it again. And there are people who've been meditating for 30 years and they don't recognize their pain body. And it would be so easy to recognize it when the pain starts and simply watch it as the arising pain body so that it doesn't become a me. When you don't watch it, you're not aware of it, it quickly slips into your mind and uses your thinking. If you can watch it, then there's a space around it, and it cannot pretend to be you anymore. It can't really use your thinking anymore. It cannot feed anymore, because you watch the turbulence, you feel it inside you, sometimes all over the body. It might feel a heaviness all over the body. Oh. It's everywhere almost, or some people feel it only in the solar plexus or stomach area. Depends. So, and when you observe the pain body arising in another person, in your partner you have a first-hand view. You can, the shift in the energy field that comes over that person is so obvious that there is an entity there, one could almost say, that's where before there was that beautiful aliveness that may have been the person that you thought you married, and suddenly this enormous heaviness or anger, a little monster or big monster suddenly there next to you. And the shift can happen in 1 minute. How can the wife or the husband turn into that? And it happens all the time. It's not recognized as the pain body. And then the pain body looks at you. And thought processes, whatever it thinks about, is through its pain. It interprets everything through the pain. Every interpretation of my life, who you are, who I am, what my life situation is totally distorted because it's looked at through the pain. So you get an absurd worldview inspired not by heaven but by hell. And so most human beings are unconscious, so they are forced to feed it again and again. And very often you will recognize pain bodies, the transformation in somebody close to you. There it is. And you sense, you don't need to be a psychic to feel to feel the emanation of that. Ooh. So all that's needed is know it, see it for what it is, and continue to watch its movement so that it doesn't turn into an unhappy me anymore. It cannot flow into the mind structures of the unhappy self and amplify those. So all that's left really of the pain body now is a heaviness or a turbulence inside you, or a quiver of fear. Very much like atmospheric turbulence, bad weather. which isn't a personal problem, except to very heavy egos who react even to the weather and say, why is it always bad when I want to go out? But if you're not such a heavy ego, then weather is relatively neutral, but really so is the atmospheric turbulence in your own energy field. There's no self in it. It's human pain, human turbulence. Okay, not a person ultimately. So it doesn't amplify anymore the story of me and makes it into some dreadfully unhappy nightmare. You watch it almost as a physical symptom when it comes. And that's the beginning of freedom, because it can no longer replenish itself now as you watch it. You recognize it when it comes. You might recognize it first in your partner, when it comes in your partner. And then you might say, there's your pain body. Or maybe not. Because you might be wrong. It could be your pain body already speaking through you. Not impossible. Now, you could talk to your partner and have an agreement that you will help each other when you notice the other person's pain body. At least what you can do is not to confuse the pain body with who that person is. So you recognize it as the human pain body. Now, you might live with an extremely dense pain body next to you in your partner, so you won't meet anybody who is totally free of pain body. But as presence arises in you, your partner will no longer be able to feed very much on your reactions. So that's very frustrating. And then it is quite possible that presence also arises in your partner, or it won't be long before he or she will look for some better pain body to live with. And there's no shortage of pain bodies. So, this is the one thing that needs to be recognized in yourself so that it cannot obscure the arising presence each time it comes. In fact, it can actually contribute to the arising presence. Usually, pain body would pull you back into unconsciousness, identification with it, and you're in the middle of the pain body attack, and then finally it goes, and then you wake up. Oh, that must have been the pain body. And so, then a certain level of consciousness is reached when the pain body doesn't pull you into unconsciousness anymore, but the pain that you feel, the turbulence or the heaviness, actually triggers more presence. The pain body becomes like a little alarm clock for a more intense aliveness of presence. Oh, there it is. And you stay really alert and watch it. And it can't feed. So usually what the pain body does then, when you're very alert while it's there, and alert means you allow it, but you see it. The pain body doesn't like that. It comes into the light of consciousness, and all that light, you looking at it, it withdraws, and then it waits for a better moment when you're less conscious. After drinking some alcohol, it may come up. That's a favorite. Not the first glass. The second or third, suddenly The male pain body does that quite often. That's why quite a few men become violent after a few drinks. They trigger the male pain body. Or you could watch TV for hours, 3 or 4 hours, your level of consciousness goes down, down, and then you switch off and suddenly, oh. So, and there's a more modern phenomenon that relatively you have this huge drinks. A large part of the entertainment industry, of course, brings out violent movies. In other words, people pay money to feel bad. They pay money to sit there and feel bad. Now, who does that? Who is paying money to sit there and feel bad? The pain bodies. So the large part of the entertainment industry is financed by pain bodies. And made by pain bodies. They make the films, the pain bodies make the films, the pain bodies watch the films. Works. Oh, that was a great film, I feel really bad. The human condition. So, that's all that we need to see. Time passes very quickly when the truth arises. It doesn't really exist anymore. That's why this afternoon passed almost in an instant. And that's beautiful. So this, if we had more clock time, we could spend a lot more asking questions. But ultimately, it's not through any further questions or answers that presence arises in you. It's arising already. Be alert. There are portals. Just use them, so to speak. And it's happening anyway. It's happening already. No need to look to the future for some kind of attainment. You are already yourself fully at the deepest level. There's nothing you can add to you that is truly essential. Only in the world of form you can play with adding and losing and gaining and losing. But you're already that, already complete. Then the rest is easy, you can play. The world becomes a lighter place. You can play in it and enjoy. Even the world of form. Don't need to say, this is form, it's impermanent, I'm not going to look at it. No, you enjoy. You enjoy even the impermanence of the forms.